What happens when your chicks aren't really chicks anymore, but they're not grown up yet? Knowing what to expect from this teenage stage, or what I like to call the hooligan phase of chick development, will help you avoid unexpected surprises. My latest round of chicks are entering this phase now, so today I thought I'd dive into all things hooligan. My latest round of chicks are about 10 weeks old at the moment. Usually by 10 weeks, chicks and their mother have separated, but in my case, the mothers are still mothering them. But the chicks don't seem to really pay much attention to what their mothers are doing. So we're going to go ahead and call this the hooligan phase, which does tend to begin around sort of week 8, and I consider it to run through until the chicks reach maturity. So it lasts for quite a while. And there's not a lot of information about the differences between this sort of immature teenage chick, almost fully grown chicken, and an actual adult chicken, because their behavior can be quite different. But with my current hatch, I've got 2 hens with 2 sets of chicks, and there's some differences going on between them. So I have Goldilocks, who has just a few chicks with her, and she wasn't the best at hatching the chicks. And there's a video all about how she wasn't so great at the actual hatching process. But her mothering has been really, really good. She has taken great care of her chicks, and she continues to do so. She's been a bit more involved than Edna, who is the other hen, and she's raising quite a lot of chicks because she was really good at the hatching process. So there's a few differences going on, and that is feeding through into the personalities of the chicks. So the chicks with Goldilocks are a little bit more chill, a little bit happier to stay together with their mother. And the chicks with Edna, well, they are just running rampant, doing whatever they please, whether their mother wants them to do that or not. And they've been getting up to those kinds of shenanigans for quite a while. Since they were about 6 weeks old, they've just kind of done their own thing. They get out of the area they're supposed to be in, they get under the fences, they go rummaging around bushes where they're not supposed to be, and they leave their mother on the other side of the fence, and they just don't really mind. So there are some differences going on. Some of that could have to do with the different breeds of the chicks, but a lot comes down to the different mothering styles that the hens take with their chicks. I'm expecting the mothers to be finished with raising their chicks any day now. But something I have observed in my hatchings over the years is that when I do an autumn hatch, and that's what this one is, the hens tend to stay with their chicks for a longer period of time than they do if it's a spring hatch. And I can only assume it's because the weather is colder and the day length is getting shorter, so the hens are sort of staying with their chicks a bit longer to make sure they're 100% good and ready to go. Now, the chicks seem to be 100% ready and good to go, but those hens are just hanging on for dear life to being mothers. But chickens are very instinctual. So when the mother hen decides, I guess it's probably hormonal and environmental, when they decide they are finished, then they're just finished. And it's essentially like the relationship, that mothering relationship, just ends, and the hen no longer relates to the chicks in any kind of mothering way. It's just over. And if the chicks are younger when this happens, it can be quite upsetting for them. They will keep following her and complaining and wondering what they're supposed to do now. But when a hen has stayed with her chicks for 10 weeks or more, when that separation happens, the chicks are just sort of like, okay, I guess mum's not coming to sleep with us tonight. So there's lots of variation between different hens and different time of the year, and the different chicks that they have. But it is what chickens do. That relationship just ends and it doesn't really pick up again. Generally speaking, mothers and their children, once that is over between them, they will go back to interacting like any other adult hen and juvenile chicks. So that is something to be aware of. It is normal chicken behavior for that relationship to just end. The juvenile or the teenage stage of chicken development is actually a really distinct period with different behavior that goes with it. And I think a lot of people get confused about what's going on because you've got chicks and they're obviously chicks and they're little and cute and adorable. And you've got adult chickens who behave like adult chickens. But this teenage phase in the middle of that is quite different, and the chickens behave quite differently during it, and adult chickens behave differently towards them. So it is really important to understand that you're dealing with not fully grown chickens at this point in time. And some of the major differences are in the personalities and the flight responses of younger chickens. So they tend to be a lot more flighty, a lot more scatterbrained than they're going to be once they grow up. Now, this is, of course, very breed dependent, but I see a lot of people saying, oh, I got this breed because they're supposed to be really, really chill, but they're really crazy and they just run away from me all the time. And that is what's happening for them. But those chickens are going to chill out once they reach full maturity. And because chickens are highly instinctual and they sort of plod through these very distinct phases in their life, once the hens or the pullets, once they are about to start laying eggs, suddenly they're grown up and their behavior just shifts. They start being more chill and they start doing things that adult chickens do, like cruising around and looking for nest spots and bathing in the sun for longer periods of time. So if you are facing a situation where your chickens are just like crazy and you're like, what is happening? But they're still not mature yet, just hold on. They're probably going to come through just fine. One thing that teenage chickens keep from being chicks is they keep their baby voice. Now, it changes up a little bit, but they don't make the same sounds as a fully grown up chicken does. So you can use that as a way to indicate how close they are to actually growing up because different breeds take different lengths of time to mature. I can't just give you a magic number of months between a teenage chicken and a fully grown up chicken. But if you listen, you will hear that they vocalize differently. And as you hear that vocalization move towards being more like an adult hen, then you know they're getting really close to actually being fully grown up. So that's a great way to know how close they're getting. And something that's really, really important when you're raising both roosters and hens together, or cockerels and pullets together, which is the correct terminology, is the boys are going to reach sexual maturity much earlier than the girls. Now, if you have a mixed flock where you have adult hens and a fully mature flock rooster, that's not usually a problem. Keep an eye on it, but usually the grown-up hens and the rooster will keep those boys in line. But if you don't have a mixed flock situation, those boys might start harassing the girls before the girls are ready and willing for that sort of behavior to be going on. So if you're seeing your cockerels harassing your pullets, you need to separate them. That is absolutely essential. You can't have a bunch of teenage chickens, teenage boy chickens harassing your girl chickens. It's going to go badly. So get them separated if they are misbehaving. Now, just because the boys are reaching sexual maturity earlier doesn't mean they're actually socially mature. I find that roosters actually take longer than the hens do to be proper grown-ups in terms of their calm adult behavior. So for a pullet, once she starts laying eggs, so between sort of 5 and 8 months old, that's it. She's a grown up. She's going to behave like a grown up, and everything is going to be just pretty much the way it's going to be for the rest of her life. But a cockerel takes a long time to kind of get it all on board. And I wouldn't say that a rooster is really fully grown up until he is between 12 and 18 months old. So if you're struggling with a young rooster and you're not sure if he's gonna be the guy you need him to be, wait until he's at least 12 months old before you make your final decision. Unless he is being really nasty and mean and aggressive, in that case, don't persist because there are a lot of good roosters in the world. You don't need to keep trying with one that looks like it's gonna be not so great. The final thing to be aware of is how adult chickens interact with juvenile chickens. And once the mother has finished with raising her chicks, she's gone off to do her own thing again, the chicks, the now teenage chicks, will be on their own. They will be kept separate, almost like a sub flock from the adult chickens. And the adult chickens are not going to accept them fully into their social hierarchy and their sort of day to day lives until those chicks have reached full maturity. And that is something that people often don't understand when they are sort of expecting everyone to just come together and get along. That's probably not going to happen. You probably need to wait until those chicks have grown all the way up. And then the adult hens are like, yeah, you're cool now. You can come hang. And the signal for that is usually when the pullets start laying eggs, they will be accepted into the full adult social group. Now, that also applies if you're bringing in pullets to join your flock, if you're trying to integrate like point of lay pullets. If they're not quite fully mature yet, your other chickens are going to treat them like they are teenagers. They're not going to let them in. The easiest way to manage this situation is just to have separate sleeping areas for your sort of two sub flocks. They might fully come together. They might not, but your adult hens are not going to let them join them until they are all the way grown up. So that is really important to keep in mind. I thought I'd talk a little bit about the direction I'm going in with my flock breeding. So, I've talked about how this latest hatch that I've done is an external hatch, and that is to bring in fresh genetics to my flock because I keep roosters for a while. But one of the main reasons I wanted to do an external hatch was to get some different breed direction happening. So, my flock at the moment is made up of big heritage breed chickens, and I love them. They're glorious, but they are really, really big. Like, I have big chickens. They're big, they're fluffy, they're really nice to look at, but they're pretty average in the egg laying department. And because they're big, they eat a lot just to keep on wandering around being them. And that's cool. But chicken feed's getting more expensive, and the economy, in this economy, the chickens maybe need to step up a little bit in the egg laying department. So, with that in mind, I've gone with New Hampshire genetics instead. So, I've got a New Hampshire crossed with brown shavers. So, the brown shaver here in New Zealand is the commercial hybrid chicken. So, I've gone with that cross, and I've gone with a sex link of New Hampshire rooster over barred rock hens. So, we're sort of keeping that heritage thing going, but the New Hampshire breed is known for being really good at laying eggs and not being particularly broody, because that's the other thing I have going on in my flock is the hens go broody A lot. Now, I don't mind a bit of broodiness. That's fine. I want to be able to have a self-sustaining flock. But these hens, man, they take it to a whole nother level. They go broody like every month through the springtime, and they keep going on into the summer. I constantly have to be taking hens to break in the broody hen pen. So once a year, twice a year, I don't mind, but these hens just want to be mothers all the time. So we need to knock that tendency down a little bit. I'm probably going to do another hatch in the springtime of these same sorts of chickens. So I give myself a lot of options for picking a new rooster because my current roosters are getting on a bit. But I have myself a brand new broody hen pen that I am keen to try out come springtime. So let me show you my brand new broody hen pen. This is my new broody hen pen, and I love it. Now, it should be pretty obvious to anyone who's been on the channel for a while that I did not make this. I had this made. It is fantastic. It is solid. It's a lot better than the one that I did make, which is good in theory, but not so great in practice because I'm not very good at building stuff. So this one has the features that I love from the one that I built, but it actually is, fit for purpose. So the features that I've added into this one is a lift off roof. So this makes it really, really easy to get in, clean anything up, do food, do water, rescue a chick if they get into trouble. And it has a really nice large covered section at the end with a lift off roof because I like being able to do a top down entry into the nesting area where the hens are going to be sitting on their eggs. And it has a solid floor on this side and an open floor on the other side so that the chicks and the hen can be out on the grass scratching around, but then they have a nice warm area that is covered and flat on this side. So that actually makes it safer to pop food and water dishes on here because they're not likely to topple over and cause any issues. And it's got a door at the front and it is open for entry here, which works with chick behavior because if there was a solid partition between the outside and the inside area, chicks can get a bit lost and not be able to find the entry to their sleeping compartment. So I like to have my covered area open so that we don't run into those sorts of issues. So I'm super happy with it. I can set a nest up exactly how I like, directly on the floor. There are no areas for the chicks to get into trouble or stuck. And it has got a beautiful, nice little outside area that is safe and secure and easy for me to get into. And that just ticks all the boxes for a super functional broody hen raising space. Now you know everything you need to know about the teenage stage of raising chickens. It's not like the chick phase, and it's not like having fully mature chickens, so now hopefully you'll have no unexpected surprises. And I've got a new broody hen pen.